Thank you, Dennis and Alan, for a very enlightening talk. And Dennis mentioned that he supported the first option, me too, because the second option of using the existing system does not work and Hong Kong is not governable. And I would suggest that China, although some people promote China model, some business lobby here in the West want to make money from China, and they say China model is good in order to appease the Chinese government. But as we all know, China model is not working. If you have read the article by Professor Sun Yiping of Tsinghua University, I can forward you the article. The article said the threat to China may not be social uprising or social turmoil, but social decay. His thesis is exactly because the China model system of having one-party rule, because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, the whole Chinese government is corrupt, and that's why so many people are rising up. But I just want to add that a reporter from Toronto Star, Bill Schiller, wrote an article just a week or two ago. The title of his article is the Case of the Missing Candidate. So he reported that hundreds of people in China are risking their lives deciding to run in local elections as independents. Independence in China is not allowed, even though the Chinese constitution said anybody over 18 years old is eligible to run in any election. But as a matter of fact, this candidate is missing, like Mr. Ai Weiwei was missing for 3 months, and many of the human rights defenders are missing. But I see this as a very significant advance from the human rights defender movement earlier, which Uncle Wa, we all support that. But now I think they're advancing to, although they still have a long way to catch up with you guys, with 220,000 people showing up to support the universal suffrage. But at least it's beginning. Hundreds of people in China is deciding to run as an independent in elections. I think that's...
Can you put forward your question?
Yeah. My question is, since unavoidably China, Hong Kong and China are tied, right? So how can we, knowing this 220,000 turning up, and China have advanced from human rights defenders to political rights defenders, how do we work together to help each other to move forward?
Well, you see, this is also a question that I have been asking myself repeatedly. My humble answer is really this. The best that we can do for promoting the democratic cause in China is to sustain our own institutions, like what I mentioned, the rule of law, the separation of powers, we have the Independent Commission Against Corruption, we have the Director of Audit, we have the Ombudsman, to keep the executive power under check. We would also want to make sure that our values like justice, equality, fairness will continue to flourish in Hong Kong. Now, if we can do that, Hong Kong will stay as unique a place now and in the future as it was in the past, as it was 100 years ago when these values and systems once inspired Dr. Sun Yat-sen. And nobody knows when would be the last straw off the camel's back in the making. We can only try to achieve and fight for democracy for Hong Kong. And of course, I have argued this case consistently throughout this speaking tour to the States and Canada, that the mainland Chinese government cannot dodge the issue and refuse to face the music forever. We have a rapidly expanding middle class in the mainland. The middle class is now sized, according to one source, 120 million. When you have such a large and expanding middle class, the middle class has its expectations. And if the economy of China cannot be as rosy as it was in the past decade, in the next decade or in the decade after next, then the economy is bound to fail the expectations of the middle class. Their demand for political participation, for the rule of law to prevail over China, would then be really too strong to resist. So in order not to be caught in the situation of an outburst that the CCP would not know how to handle, I would advise them that they should really start this experiment with Hong Kong as the laboratory for a democratic form of government, a government fully accountable to the people, to be manned by Chinese people, Chinese people from Hong Kong, who inherit from the 5,000 odd years of cultural heritage of China, while at the same time also having been exposed to Western ideas, and such a experiment may produce the product that not only would help Hong Kong to solve the ungovernable deadlock that we are in, but it could also be a catalyst for change in China, and it could also be a reference that the mainland can draw on. If I may just finally add that the Civic Party is not advocating at all, as Dennis and I have been telling our American friends, that the American model, or for that purpose, the Canadian model, must be the model to be practiced in Hong Kong or China. As I already said, the democratic model, as practiced in many countries, know of problems. But democracy has really this good thing, beauty, this beauty about it. It is an ever-evolving system. It can minimize impact when the economy is not doing well. And it also has this ability to self-perfect. Now, these are important attributes of the democratic system, which we hope Hong Kong will soon have.
If I may add, I think your question, your comment touches on the very heart of the issue. Democracy is really the essence of it, as we see it, is about the respect for every individual as they are, as human beings. Now, we sometimes take this concept for granted, but in China, people are not treated as equal. People are not given the dignity and integrity as they are due. I was in Beijing last year, visiting a Beijing university. I went to a lecture hosted by Beida, professor of law, talking about democracy in China. And he actually made a comment which made me really seriously think. He said that, is there really equality? Is the billionaire really equal to the person sleeping under the bridge? come on, let's be realistic. I mean, this is from the mouth of the professor of law in Beidao, and I was shocked. I was shocked because as a lawyer, I mean, the very thing about the rule of law is the respect for every individual as equal before the eyes of law. Now, if you really believe that people are not equal, as a matter of ideal, then we have serious problem. But that is the social decay or the moral decay, that which you so rightly pointed out, which is facing the country. If a peasant's land could be bought off with, by a few $1,000s by an official and kicked out of his own home, you can compensate him for some money, but the scar that you are creating in the society and the deep sense of, I hate to use the word, but the emotional damage or the moral damage that you're doing to society by throwing money at the problem is not going to cure anything. Last year, the Chinese government spent 600 billion renminbi on maintaining domestic internal security. That is money on police, on officers who would monitor the whole country, on people monitoring the computer, the internet, just to make sure the country is stable. But how many 600 billion renminbi can you spend on this issue? Can you keep throwing money at the problem? No, it's not sustainable.